Are you ready? The Kornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Kornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Kornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Kornelia Stephanie Show. I'm with my co-host, Carlenia Springer. Welcome to the show, Carlenia.
Thank you, Cornelia. Great to be here.
It's awesome, the topic that we're going to talk about. I really want to dive right in. This is a segment that you're bringing to us, and you titled it, Change Your Story, Change Your Outcome. Are you struggling with a lack of focus, no clear vision, constantly changing priorities, feeling overwhelmed, a lack of support or consistent cash flow? Do you know that you're here for a greater purpose, but you feel blocked and you don't know where to turn? Do you want to feel liberated? Feel free to just be yourself. Experience your value and be acknowledged and well compensated for your contribution. Tune in and listen as we share how changing your story is a powerful catalyst for changing your outcome. I'm so grateful to you for bringing this out right now, because so many people are in this state of feeling that overwhelm. And there isn't a greater conversation that we can have right now than to anchor in this new story that we're creating. So thank you so much for bringing this on, Carlenia. I want to be able to tell the listeners a little bit more about you and what it is that you do, because you and I both are we're in an expansive phase in our lives, and we're both on a new publicity media platform where we're getting ready to get featured on local television stations so that we can support others with our message. But let's tell the audience a little bit about you and about what it is that you do.
Okay, so I am the founder of Destiny Embraced and the Sacred Spaces movement. I'm a spiritual life coach. And I have to say that back in 2000, when I first went to school for spiritual life coaching, I had a tremendous amount of information and very little integration. And I have experienced a lot of pain in my life. And I wasn't interested in helping anyone until I could at least help myself. And so my journey it's been a long and trying journey. And when you're on a path of transformation and you know that you're here for a greater purpose, that path is never easy. It's a path that really takes a tremendous amount of courage, because things happen that would cause you to want to shut down. So many times, Cornelia, I know, we've spoken a little bit about what you went through, and, oftentimes we get taken to that place where it's a breaking point, and we have a decision to make. And sometimes we're in this place where we're feeling stuck and helpless and don't know where to turn or what to do. And I found myself in that place several times along this journey. More recently, I would say I experienced probably being in the most profound space of helplessness and fear. And what I can remember standing in front of my mirror one day and just talking to myself and saying, you know what? It doesn't matter what happens. I'm taking a stand for my life. If I lose everything, I'm taking a stand for my life, because I can't do this anymore. Fear had me shrinking, had me hiding, had me afraid to be me. And oftentimes, we're running into walls and we don't know what it is to embrace ourselves. So my company is called Destiny Embraced. It's because I recognize that within each one of us, there is a purpose. And when we embrace our journey, when we embrace that purpose, then life opens up for us in unimaginable ways. So I created the Sacred Spaces movement because after what I came through I literally went into 6 months of silence, and I said, God, if you don't, I'm not moving until you move me, until you show me something more, something different. And so I'm standing here today able to talk to you because something shifted, but I know I had to get to a place where I made a decision. The Sacred Spaces movement is a place of healing for people of African descent. And although anybody can benefit from it, I know that's something that's near and dear to my heart. So it's a place where I'm calling for people to come forward because we're in so much pain. And there is something that actually can be done about that pain. When I hear that in the African American community, people of African descent in this country, children ages 5 to 12 are committing suicide at a very high rate, something is wrong. I don't know what would cause a 5-year-old baby to even know how to take its life, much less want to take its life. And our children are dealing with bullying and just the conditions that the majority of my people live in this country. I felt that there was something that I could do to help the healing process. And that's why I started this movement. And so I'll just say, I know this is supposed to be about me, but I'll just say that if you know that God has put something in your heart to make somebody else's life better, then this is a time to act on it. When we see people losing their jobs, there's so much fear around money and not having money. And I went through that. It's a tremendous amount of fear because it's a fear of survival. So Kornelia, I will stop here because I could just keep on, but I'll stop here and turn it back over to you.
Wow, that's so powerful. Everything that you said, I want to touch on so many things, that you talked about. But first, I want to say, what would make a 5-year-old child want to commit suicide? It reminded me of when I was a 5-year-old child, when I wanted to commit suicide. And I remember the feeling, as children, we're so sensitive and we're so open and vulnerable to our surroundings. And so, what would make a 5-year-old child want to commit suicide is because the child is overwhelmed. The child is overwhelmed simply because the parents or the lack of parents are, the child is picking up the emotional core wounding from the parents or from one parent or from lack of parents or from being in a foster home. And so that child is just overwhelmed and is not getting their emotional needs met. The child is not getting its emotional needs met because the child is picking up all these other emotional wounds. It's not even able to be a child, right? That's why I'm
Yes,
feeling like
yes.
you're not able to be a child. You're not getting your needs met. You're not getting your basics taken care of, your food, your shelter. You've got, what was I talking? I was talking yesterday to a teacher. She's getting ready to go to Louisiana. She volunteers there. She goes there and it helps the inner city kids. And she goes, the kids there are so different than the kids here in Anacortes, Washington, where she teaches regularly. And she says, it's so different there because she goes, their happiness is like, oh, I'm so glad that my grandma is happy. Well, why is your grandma happy? Well, mom stopped smoking crack.
Wow.
Or we can actually pay the rent this month. Or
Yeah.
These kinds of conversations is what a little second or third grader in school is saying to the teacher. It's a different story than what the second or third grade student is saying here to her in this class. So it's interesting when we're talking about, because Carlenia, the pain that you and I have transcended, and the reason that you and I are doing what it is that we're doing is because we were those children. We were those children, and we felt that pain. And we know that this is the pain that we've had to overcome in our own lives and in our own ancestral lineage. And part of the reason for coming out and talking about our journey so courageously, because it takes a lot of courage to put yourself out there and talk about these things openly, because you don't know what people are going to do. And even some of the members in your family may not agree with you
Right.
coming public, right?
Yes, right, exactly.
That also is another thing. But really, we heal through stories. And what we're doing here is we want to share with you. I just got the chills. and I got on a turtleneck sweater. That is, it's just amazing. What we want to share with you is that you're not alone, and that whatever it is that you're going through right now is you're releasing this old story, right? Because your words today, Carlenia, is change your story, change your outcome. You're releasing your old story from the past and letting go of the old world, the old conditioning, the old pain, the poverty consciousness, so that you can move into right relationship with the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are is an amazing being, creator, empowered creator, an abundant universe within yourself. It's so grand actually who you are, that to really embrace and take in that much truth, it takes work. And that's what we're here to do. And so I love the fact that, you said it, you said that it's the work that you do is for African descent, and that really, but anybody can benefit from it.
Yes, anybody can benefit from it.
Anybody can benefit from it, whether it's an African or a Latino, because we're talking about the message. But I do love that you are focusing on the African community, because there is a lot of work that needs to be done there. And so I'm grateful that you're doing that work in the African community, and you're bringing that higher consciousness, that truth, that higher wisdom, and the metaphysical, the spiritual, right? Because really, again, getting the chills, the metaphysical. Meta means matter, mother, bringing the mother into the physical reality, into the truth. So what made you want to talk about this piece today? The feeling afraid that you don't have enough money, the inconsistent cash flow, all of the things that you were writing up in the show notes.
Well, actually last Sunday night, I did a master class. It was supposed to be 2 hours. It ended up being 2.5 hours. And it's funny how people align, right, with where they need to be, or think they should be, because there were people that I thought would be on there and they weren't able to get on. And then there were other people that I didn't know that were invited by some people that I had invited. And they were all entrepreneurs. And it was a very vibrant, interactive class. As I began to, they've been entrepreneurs for a while. So as I began to speak, there were things that I was saying about this. Are you struggling with a lack of focus, no clear vision, constantly changing priorities, the overwhelm, all of these things that seem to be outside of us?
Mm-hmm.
What I shared with them is what you and I already know, is that we don't have a problem with strategy. We're very brilliant. We're smart. We can Google strategy. We can call somebody, right? We can get through a to-do list, but it's our emotional pain that is blocking. And if we don't see that pain, we won't, and we don't understand that, we won't even make the connection. Mm-hmm. And so as I began to talk to them and just ask them different questions, like, what is top of mind for you? What do you worry about? What do you go to sleep with?
What wakes you up at night?
Yes. And they began to share. And at the end of this process, one of the young ladies, I talked about my 12-month program, but I didn't actually talk about it. I just mentioned it because they were entrepreneurs. And one of the ladies, she said to me, I work for the military, and today I found out it was going to be my last day, that I'm not, my job is not going to continue. She said, they'll actually tell me when my last day is, Friday, which is today. And I was talking about the need for community, because people feel so alone in their situation. And we hear it all the time. You're not alone. Other people are having this experience. But when it's you and you don't feel comfortable in sharing it with people, it can feel like you're alone. And it's worse if you're in the midst of people, but you can't share. You're physically close, but it feels like you're a billion miles away. And that's really painful. And so as we went through that, I said, one of the things that I'm doing is creating a community on Facebook for the Sacred Spaces movement. And I hadn't done it yet, but because I saw a need right there among like 8 to 10 women, I said, I committed, I'm going to get it done. I have a lot of things to do, but by Saturday, that will be complete. Because right there, we began to talk and to share. And I said, what if we went out and for 10 days, we did a challenge? And the challenge is to go serve someone. So we go serve our clients, find out what they need, serve them, charge them $100. Why don't we just go get 10 clients, make $1,000, and then take 500 and sew into her? And we're like so inspired because, several of them was like, they said, if I had the money right now, I would write the check. That's a mind shift, right? That's a mind shift. I said, what would we create right here just among us? Right? You all still have your jobs, you have your business, you're okay. But we go out there and we create a story, not just for ourselves, but collectively as a community. And then we sow into somebody else who is raising up leaders among young women. How would that change her story? How would that inspire people? And, when I saw how they were just taking in all of this and they said, oh my God, this makes sense to me. I was thinking about this. But when you're in business and you're by yourself, it's a struggle to be an entrepreneur anyway. Because you're going against the majority of the population.
Yeah. And especially if you're a female.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you've never been brought into right relationship with earning the same value and money as a man, and we're still outdoing the patriarchal society. And so to be an entrepreneur, to even qualify for loans, or even to get the funding that you need to get your business off the ground, that's one of the biggest hurdles. That's one of the reasons my business, what I'm going to be doing this year, one of my goals is to my business is Cornelia Stephanie, is the business for profit. I'm establishing a nonprofit organization called the Cornelia Stephanie Foundation that will then make scholarships available for women, 10 to 12 women throughout the year that they're going to be able to apply for, so that they can get the loans that they need in order to start their businesses. Because I know how hard it was for me to be able to do it. It was ridiculous how hard it was to get it going. And I don't want other women to have to go through that. So it's, again, the part that we are giving back the things that we've had to endure and learn and overcome. And I appreciate the work that you're doing there with the entrepreneurs and the women. And, let's come together and let's collaborate. And really, I'd love to support and, find out how I can help. And maybe we can start a movement like that over here, what you're talking about, Carlenia, because, the more that we support each other, especially the women, the collaboration is really so important right now, because that is how the new earth is being built. It's like, it depends on where you're at right now in your relationship, first of all, with money. There may be in a different stage that you're at. And also, to really find out, have you already healed your relationship with money? Have you already transcended that lack consciousness out of your physical body? And have you already started looking at, where you are financially with everything? That's a really important piece, right? To make peace with that part of your past, so that then your business can be laid down on a ground that is authentic and clean and pure. And then your business can have legs, and then you can build on with other people that are here, that are ready to support you.
Yes. Yeah. And I really think that money conversation, like you have a show about that. Is it the Millionaire Mindset?
The Millionaire Imprint for Women. It's going to be
Millionaire Imprint for Women. Yes. I think that's such an important conversation. I saw one of my coaching colleagues, Shazia Imam, have a conversation about money. And there really is, when you have the luxury of saying, oh, every 2 weeks I get this check coming in, right? That's you're not 100% responsible for your results, because somebody else can at any point in time, like what happened here, say, oh, I'm sorry, and they don't give you any warning. You no longer have a job. And then what? When most people live paycheck to paycheck, it's not it's better to work on that while you have a job than um, for you to feel like the rug has been pulled from underneath your feet.
Yeah. And Carlenia, I just want you to know that like all the people in your community, people that you know, I would like to, give them the PDF that's available so we can do this later. But anybody here on the show that is listening to this, I have a PDF that's available for anybody here that lists all of the shows, the Millionaire Imprint for Women. The first season was really all about clearing their relationship with money, all kinds of practical tools. You can do it from the comfort of your own home. We'll give you that. The other thing we'll give you, and I want to give this to you too, is I wrote an ebook on how to change your relationship with money, your emotions, your beliefs, and your thoughts, and how to really shift your relationship. You can get it free also. And I'll give it to you free, Carlenia. And you can give it to all your women and your people over there that
Okay.
really want to be able to change their relationship with money and start that process now. For the audience that's listening to this, you can email me at radio@corneliastephanie.com and put ebook in the subject line, and I will be happy to mail it to you for free. So that you can really shift your relationship with money. What you're talking about, Carlenia, is you're talking about the survival piece. And we have to be able to feel so good about money, whether you have $1 in your hand or you have $100 in your hand. You have to be able to know that one is doesn't outweigh the other. The dollar is as valuable as the $100, and that you have to be able to feel rich. You have to be able to feel
Yeah.
rich without money. That's really the key. It is the key. If you can feel the abundance and if you can feel rich, that spiritual richness, to know how absolutely abundant this universe is and how absolutely abundant we are, whether it's, start with, the abundance, noticing the abundance in your relationship, the abundance of good things, the gratitude, building it up until you can really start building up your avalanche of abundance of money in your life. But the bottom line is we have to feel rich without it first.
Yes. And I heard this acronym a long time ago. Money is my own natural energy yield. So
Mm.
we reclaim our energy from those places where we're sad, hurt, broken. We begin to redirect that towards our vision, towards the reason that we're here. There's an enthusiasm that we bring to life, right? That abundance, because sometimes people are when the rug has been pulled from under them, as I'm sure many people are experiencing right now, um, that seems good, but I think it may not feel real to them. It may not feel practical because so much of their attention is pulled right here. And that's why it's important. I really believe it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people,
Yeah.
people who will lift you up, people who will help to remind you to shift your focus, to change your story, right? Because the things that you feel deeply is what's creating the feelings of desperation and survival and these types of things that keep us spinning.
Yeah.
And in order to change your story, I mean, you talked about the abundance. You can just look outside. You can't even count the number of cars, much less leaves on a tree, blades of grass, right? People in the area. There's so much abundance around us. Money. Like, I had a mentor. He said, money has never left the planet. It is always in circulation. And oftentimes, as givers, we give, and we will give, and we don't even consider that in order to be able to continue to give, we have to receive.
Yeah. And you know what, Carlinia, you and I are both, highly integrous in our spirituality. We know because literally you said it before. You said, I'm not moving until you show me. Meaning that you didn't go out and go, okay, I'm going to go and apply for this job, or I'm going to go do this. Because you really wanted to understand what was really the movement that God wanted for you. You literally surrendered yourself into that moment, and you probably didn't care what your ego was saying or what phone calls were happening or whatever, because you were so surrendered to this experience, right? To
Right.
to really
Yes.
wanting to find out and shift that energy on the planet, for the planet, because what you do for one, you do for all. And I just want to make note I want to make note that the company of heaven is so proud of us. The company, the company of heaven is so proud of us
The
because
company I have.
and you know what? Honestly, is like we didn't get paid for this. You know,
No.
seriously,
Yeah.
we should have been paid millions and millions of dollars for the work that we've done, right? We should have been paid millions of dollars. That's still coming. That is still coming. But the point is, we didn't get paid during the time that we were doing this work, where literally it's like our basic needs were not provided for.
Right.
You know, we didn't get
Yeah.
paid to do this heavy lifting. And now that the heavy lifting is done, feel that it's okay because we've already been there, and we can tell you that we've been there, and that you said it here in your notes that what if you don't have enough money to pay your mortgage? So what is your strategy, Carlenia? What do you do when you don't have enough money to pay your mortgage?
You know what? As I heard, there's never a lack of resources. There's a lack of resourcefulness. And so oftentimes that's what we're focused on. How am I going to do this? And we have like a one-track mind. But there are people around you. And when you're present and when you're available and when you're connected to people and you're able to be vulnerable and open and just you're not literally asking them for something, but you're just letting them know where you are and what's happening. You never know what that person may be able to sow into you. They may be able to connect you to a resource, but what did God put in your hand? See, because there's something that if you lived on this earth for 30 or more years, that you're able to do with your eyes closed that somebody else is willing to pay for, right?
Yeah.
Willing to look outside of your comfort zone and outside of what you already know. And money is not a conversation that, wealthy people have conversations about money all the time, but for the majority of people, they're not having conversations about money. It's something you don't talk about. You don't tell people about your money concerns, your problems, those type of things. And we're saying it's time to change your story because you don't have to suffer alone. You don't have to suffer in silence. Many people have, they have different ways that they deal with things, but I think beginning to just be honest with right where you are and not deny what is in front of you. Be willing to embrace where you are. Look, what are your resources? What do you have? What are you able and capable of doing? You start there, and as you begin to take one step, doors begin to open. You're not going to see the end, right here. But if you keep walking, if you keep staying present, if you keep staying connected to where you are, things begin to open up for you.
I love that. I love that. With that, we're going to take a quick break on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. We'll be right back with Carlenia Springer.
Hi, my name is Janet Hickox, and I want to tell you a little story about a story and how my friend Cornelia Stephanie helped me through to the other end of that story. I have gone from the dark of a story I was telling myself that wasn't true to the light of optimism to see my way out of where I was and to where I want to go. And it all started with her scheduling a session for me to help me reclaim my money or my financial empowerment. Up until that point, I had been telling the story that my business was dying, that my business was not successful anymore. And the more I tried to figure out what was going on, the worse I felt about it. And when I had to get ready to do the session with Cornelia, she asked me to go look at the numbers and where I was through the year to date, and then also to come prepared with a number that I wanted to raise my income to. Well, I was quite comfortable with that part, right? I knew where I wanted to be. What I wasn't comfortable with doing is going and looking up those numbers, but I made myself do it, even though I tried to backpedal my way out of the session. She didn't know that, but I was going to try to get myself out of the session. And I looked up those numbers, and it was incredible that I discovered through that process that my business wasn't dying. In fact, I was doing 12% better than I had the year before. So I was shocked. I was shocked literally at the power of the story that I had been telling for months. But more than that, I was shocked that I had allowed myself to get there. And later in that day when I had my session with Cornelia, she pointed out some very obvious things like, how are you going to get where you want to go if you don't know where you want to go? How are you going to get there if you don't have the goals written out, if you don't have it set up so that you know where you are and where you're going to go? Totally makes sense, right? And I had been in business, somebody else's business, as a sales manager for years, and I was a national sales manager. I had awards for sales management. I had business awards because of numbers. And yet when it came to doing my own business, I totally forgot all that I'd ever learned. So by the time Cornelia, working with me in just one session, got me to look deeper at the numbers and where did I want to go, and actually, claiming where I wanted to go, I was filled with a sense of optimism and hope like you can't believe. It was like everything shifted for me. And I am so looking forward to our continued sessions to see how far I can really push myself to get where I've only dreamed of being, where I've never taken the dream and actually brought it into concrete existence. So thank you, Cornelia, for the work that you're doing out there. I appreciate it, and I can't wait to see where I go from here.
We were talking on the break. Carlenia was saying when life slams you, and things happen that you just don't have any control over. The practice is surrender, is to really learn how to surrender to the greater good, to surrender to your creator, to surrender with your hands up and say, I don't know how. And really let that humbleness take over and allow for the Spirit, the Holy Grace, the Holy Spirit to work through you, to really open up a new avenue that you haven't considered yet before. It's one of my favorite practices is surrendering, living in a state of surrender. It's like, don't resist, because it's the resistance that's keeping it from you. So, it's always the ego that wants the instant gratification, wants to know that it's going to be secure, that it's got everything that it needs. But unless you've been turning it over to the Spirit, right? Unless you've been turning it over to Spirit, your life over to Spirit, because that's where we're creating the new world from. It's funny story brings to my attention is when I first started practicing switching roles from where the ego was always in control and planned everything out and had everything all documented and all of that, right? When I first started switching over, I would work with my ego in like 30-day increments, okay? Because initially, when I would take these steps, the ego was screaming at me at the top of my lungs, going, "What about me? What about me? What about me?" Right? And it was like, I understand how afraid you are that we're changing things, but I said, I can't function with you screaming in my ears. You have to give me a chance. You have to give Spirit a chance to come up with, to change this relationship. For the old story, we've done everything your way. And now we're switching roles, right? And it's really allowing Spirit the new way, letting Spirit, the intuitive, the higher guidance, the higher love, the divine plan to, shower you with miracles in your life. But you have to be the receiver and the recipient of it, right, Carlenia?
Yeah, and often that's a battle. You talked about it, screaming at you. It's a battle, and we're used to operating from our brain, from our logic. And so if things are not logical to us, if they don't make sense to us, we don't understand it. We're fighting the reality that is. We're fighting our own expansion. We're fighting the peace of mind and the freedom that we want. And what's happening in our environment is a reflection of what's going on inside of us. And if we don't understand that, and if we're unwilling to look at that, life just gets more and more difficult until it forces you to surrender. I was telling you during the break, it's really nice to be able to be in a place where you can consciously practice surrender when you realize that you are in resistance, because you can recognize that. But oftentimes people get slammed up against the wall, like the shutdown that people are, that we were talking about, that people are experiencing right now. And I want you to ask yourself, where are you shut down? Where have you been shut down in your life? Because everything outside of you reflects something going on inside of you. And it has nothing to do with blame or shame or guilt or anything like that. It's just a recognition that this is the nature of reality. And if you don't have to agree with it. You can keep fighting. You can keep fighting the reality that is, or you can say, you know what, I'm tired. Like Cornelia said, I give up. I surrender. I surrender. I don't understand how all of this spirituality thing works, but we're telling you there's some spiritual laws and principles, and what is going on inside of you is reflected on the outside. And so if you have been a part of the government shutdown, your stories may be different. Perhaps you've known for a long time that you needed to branch out on your own, and you've started the process, and maybe you would have moved more aggressively if you knew this was coming, right? Maybe it's just been an idea in your mind that you have not even looked at. But I'd say right now is the time to begin to develop that gift that God put in you, because your gift will free you. Your gift will save you. It will save you from this place of lack that you find yourself in. And if you have already been working, some people have already been working aggressively on their dream, on their vision, and this is just an opportunity for them to turn their attention with even greater energy towards that, and really launch the movement or move that they have been trying to make. And so it really takes, right, Cornelia, it takes some willingness to be introspective.
Yeah.
And to say, where can I make a change? What else can I do to create money? I said it's my own natural energy yield. What are you able to do? There's some people drive Lyft, some people drive Uber, people walk dogs. They do things that will handle their day-to-day expenses, right? It may not be something that you actually want to do, but it's something that you can do. Another thing is, I spoke to a lady not too long ago, and she said, many people overlook this. Go and volunteer, because you never know the connections that you make. And sometimes those are the best connections you make when you go and you volunteer your time and your service to make a difference in somebody else's life.
Yeah, I love that part. Everything you said, it's like, oh my God, I want to stop you here and there and say all these things. I just want to say to you, I have so much respect for you. You're such a high priestess energy. You're really modeling heaven on earth, and that's really what this show is. It's an anchoring place to show you that heaven is a state of consciousness. It's a state of consciousness, and we don't have to die to go to heaven. We just have to let the old part of ourselves, the one that's afraid, the ego, the control, the manipulation, the all that old energy. We have to let that go so that we can give birth to a higher part of yourself, your new life. What is it that really lights you up? How is it that you want to tell your story? How do you want to live your life? What are your core values? What's true for you? And I love what you said about the shutdown. If you're experiencing the shutdown, if you're part of that, it's where you said there's a shutdown. Look at where the shutdown is happening within you, because again, it's shut down. And if there, what feelings does that bring up for you? Powerlessness, non-security. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose this. I'm going to lose this. So lose all of those old feelings. Let all of those old feelings go. Let that go. I'm transcending this energy. I'm letting this go. I'm letting this go. And then claim what it is that you really want now.
Yes.
Right? Claim
Yeah.
what it is that you really want now. You know,
Can you tell them how to let it go? Because they'll be thinking like it's a head conversation, right?
uh-huh.
We can't let those feelings go just by talking, right? It's a process.
Yeah.
So share with them how you actually let go of the feelings.
Yeah, you feel it. You feel
Yeah.
the energy. It's like let's just say, for instance, if that was me, any event, it doesn't matter if it's a relationship, if it's money, security issues, shut down, any event that triggers you, that's a catalyst for the trigger, where you feel triggered and you anger becomes activated in you, or whatever it is, and now all of a sudden you feel pissed off. You're pissed. You're pissed. You feel, maybe depressed, you feel pissed, whatever it is. But to be able to go, wow, I'm feeling this, to really acknowledge what the feelings are, and then going, I am releasing this energy. I am letting this energy go, feeling it, feeling the
Yeah.
loss, feeling the separation, feel what it would feel like to be shut down and not have what it is that you need. Feel that. That's a really core way to transcend that, is to feel it, to you know in my book I have this line that I process the universe through my physical body. When I first started doing this process of releasing, emotionally releasing and processing, now when people see me, they always say to me, you always seem so joyful, you always seem so happy, you seem so, you seem so. It's not a seem, it's really I am.
That is how you are. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to not be that way, but I processed loss. So I would look at particular timelines, like processing the loss of my dog, processing the loss of my mother, processing the loss of my home, processing the loss before it even happened, because I don't want to be attached to this energy. I don't want to be afraid of this energy. I want to be free of it. I want to be free of it, because loss happens. Loss happens in life, and it's not in my control. Nothing that is not in my control.
Yes.
The only control I have is how I respond. That's it. Pretty much that's it. The relationship I have with my creator and how I respond to the events that are showing up in my life. That's it. Everything else is not in my control. And so it's a freeing piece. It's a freeing piece, because everyone gets to choose their journey. So if I lose something, it's because someone else made a choice. And I can't lose something that is divinely meant to be mine,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
right? I just got the
Said
choice.
something about fear, and one of the acronyms for fear is face everything and rise. And so when you face your feelings of, oh my God, what if I don't get called back to work, and what that feels like, right? That's you processing it. Be in that place, and watch if that happens. Watch the shift that begins to take place.
Exactly. Because again, it's the fear. There's two emotions, love and fear. And under the love category, you got happiness, joy, harmony, peace, abundance, all these good feelings. And then on the fear uh, emotions, you've got sadness, depression, anger. You've got those. And so if there is a fear, I'm afraid of this loss. I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough money. I find this also with people that have a lot of money. They're always worried they're going to run out. So they're worried they're going to run out. So even people that have a lot of money have the same core wounding. They're processing a low self-worth, the lack consciousness, the lack energy out of their physicality, out of their physical body, so that they can move into right relationship with the truth. And the truth
Yes.
is that you are a harmonious universe within yourself, and the universe is abundant, and there is just endless and endless and endless of abundance that's available for us. And to move into that feeling of richness and joy and abundance from an emotional place that's matched with a belief, that's matched with the thoughts in your body.
And then
So
your actions.
in your actions, and that you show up in it. You know, if you're feeling the lack, is one of my mantras is, I cast this burden of lack. I cast this burden of lack onto the Christ within,
Hmm.
right? I cast this burden of lack onto the Christ within. Releases me immediately, because the Christ within, the Savior within, has got it covered.
Yes. Yeah. That's letting go and letting God, right?
Yeah.
Literally letting go and letting God.
Yeah. Yeah. So Carlenia, what what else do you want to talk about? We have just a few short minutes. I know that you're running a program, you're doing a Facebook Live. Let's tell the listeners, first of all, how they can get in contact with you and what it is that you're offering, and how people can
Oh,
reach you.
okay. So you can reach me through my email, which is the metaphysicalmom@gmail.com. And that's THEMETA physical, PHYSICAL, mom@gmail.com. And so in a couple of weeks, I'll be running a 10-day challenge called Spirit Speaks. Are you listening? And it's about awakening your intuition and removing fear and doubt. And so if you're interested in participating in that, just send me an email with your first and last name and I'll send you the information. But I think right now, when we see this, what's happening with the government, the wall, the babies being put into jails, pretty much, families being separated. There's a tremendous amount of fear, anger, and rage on the planet. And so those of us who understand energy, we have to do what we can to heal our wounds and to help those around us process their wounds, because there's so many people that don't know how to do that, but that anger and rage within us is feeding the fear that we see in our greater reality, and we can actually shift that. And so I say it's time. It really is time to shift. We can't shift the larger story until we shift our own. And so when we take personal responsibility, when we begin to embrace ourselves with compassion, the fear, the anger, the rage, when we begin to embrace it and listen to it as if it was our little child or a pet or something, that was upset, you would comfort it. We begin to harness that energy. And after some practice, you'll be able to redirect that energy, because that's the energy that will fuel your vision, fuel your work on the planet. And I truly believe that as each one of us, Kornelia, release what I call turn on heart lights, right, around us, we will organically dismantle this system of injustice.
Wow.
Take a stand for ourselves. We have to take a stand for our life first. You can't care about what other people think about you. You have to take care of you before you can take care of anybody else.
Yeah. Those are such wise words. So the 10-day challenge is when? What is the date?
I don't have the date right in front of me. I want to say not this Monday, but the following. So maybe that's the 21st.
Okay.
That's
Is it the 21st of January? Okay, yeah, because it's Martin Luther King Day that day.
Oh, that is? Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the day. And then is this on Facebook or?
I'll run it on Facebook, but it's not on there yet, so they can email me.
Yeah, they can email you, because you know what, Carlenia, I think what I would like to do with you is also, invite you to come onto my Facebook Lives on Friday to, share this piece, what you're talking about, and then maybe your entrepreneur thing with the women that you're doing that, and then, always help offer the next piece so that people can tap in to the different collaborative resources that we're offering.
Yes.
With this work. So because you're doing that challenge that in 10 days, probably on January 21st.
21st, yeah.
Yeah. Martin Luther King Day. So that is a perfect day. And
Yes.
they can email you at the metaphysical mom, right? At
Yes. At
gmail.com.
Gmail. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
The other thing I want to say is for those people that are just beginning to do emotional processing, I want to tell you this too, Carlenia, on my website for free, I have a processing technique. You can download it, it's for free. It's an anger management technique and an emotional processing technique that gets you started so that when you get triggered, that you can go, oh, what is this about? And then it'll take you through the process. It's free. It's free. So go to corneliastephanie.com and there's a box on the bottom that says, are you new to Cornelia's work? Click on that, and the processing techniques and everything is right there. It's free. You can download it because that's really where your wealth is. It's in your emotions.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
place. That's where the pain body is, your trauma from the past. Everything that's happening right now with the government and all of the shutdown and everything, that's an event that there's also triggers that are happening in your physical body that are the DNA that's coming up to be released, that event alone couldn't trigger that much discomfort. It's the DNA, the stuff that you've held in your emotional body for so long that's now coming up to be released, triggered by that event as a gift to you, even though it may be painful.
Yes, I was gonna say it doesn't feel good, but know that it's good because it's coming up to come out, and that's what's good.
Yeah, coming up to come out. What else? What else would you like to say?
Um.
Yeah. So
Oh, the invitation.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yes. I just wanted to share with you all the invitation. It's a poem by Araya Mountain Dreamer, and it is so powerful. It says, "It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for, and if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dream, for the adventure of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine or your own, without moving to hide it, fade it, or fix it. I want to know if you can be with joy, mine or your own, if you can dance with wildness and let the ecstasy fill you to the tips of your fingers and toes without cautioning us to be careful or realistic, to remember the limitations of being human. It doesn't interest me if the story you are telling me is true. I want to know if you can disappoint another to be true to yourself, if you can bear the accusation of betrayal and not betray your own soul, if you can be faithless and therefore trustworthy. I want to know if you can see beauty even when it's not pretty every day, and if you can source your own life from its presence. I want to know if you can live with failure, yours and mine, and still stand at the edge of the lake and shout to the silver of the moon, of the full moon, yes. It doesn't interest me to know where you live or how much money you have. I want to know if you can get up after a night of grief and despair, weary and bruised to the bone, and do what needs to be done to feed the children. It doesn't interest me who you are, who you know, or how you came to be here. I want to know if you will stand in the center of the fire with me and not shrink back. It doesn't interest me where or what or with whom you have studied. I want to know what sustains you from the inside when all else falls away. I want to know if you can be alone with yourself and if you truly like the company you keep in the empty moments.
I'm so glad that you brought that. Oh my God. It is
I love that.
so profound. It's so profound. I think you can Google it and it's on Google if you want that. If you want that. I want everybody to share this video with all the people that you love and that you know. Carlenia, You're amazing. Thank you so much for bringing your gifts and for doing the good work that you're doing. I love you. Thank you so much. And again, we'll see you again next month on the Cornelia Stephanie Show. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening, and help us share this message with the world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Cornelia Stephanie Show, Wake Up to Love, your call to action. Tune in each week on Transformation Talk Radio. Cornelia's joy is to engage others in practical ways, showing us how to live in the new earth in harmony with our true nature. For more information on Cornelia and her extraordinary work, or to listen to past shows, go to her website at corneliastephanie.com.